Hey, yeah, we going big, going big. We going big, going big. We going big, going big. Don't trip, gotta get it how you live, hey, yeah.
Welcome to the Let's Think About It podcast, where high achievers stop performing and start transforming. I'm Coach Mo, certified core energy leadership coach, founder of the Inner Arena and creator of the SWAG framework. Self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. Around here, we train your mindset, challenge your limits, and turn pressure into purpose. Subscribe now and join me on YouTube at Swag Coaching. So let's get your reps in.
We going big, going big. We going big, going big. We going big, going big. Don't trip, gotta get it how you.
Welcome to another episode of the Let's Think About It podcast. I'm your host, Coach Mo, and today we're stepping into the inner arena with Hanna Curman, founder of the Brain Shift, international speaker, certified brain-based coach, and author. Hanna has dedicated her work to helping people better understand themselves, navigate change, and lead with greater awareness and intentions. I'm looking forward to where this conversation is going to take us. So, Hanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm so looking forward to talk to you as well.
I'm really happy to have you on. I believe we're going to get into some powerful nuggets that we'll be able to share. But before we do that, where are you checking in from?
I'm checking in from Sweden, so it's the northern part of the world. And we are getting into the summer season, which is great for us because during the wintertime it's dark and cold. And now we are coming into this sunny and bright and light time of the year.
Sweden. Wow. What's the great thing about Sweden that my audience should know about?
I do believe, and this is actually something that I use quite a lot, and that is that we have a lot of nature. And being out in the nature, we have free space. We can actually walk wherever we want in the nature, even though the property is to someone else. Of course, we don't jump into someone else's backyard, but we can go in the forest, we can go in the nature, and being there together with the birds, together with the animals. I think that is one of the greatest of Sweden.
Love that. Love that. So tell us what type of value that you bring and the type of clients that you work with.
I do believe that I bring in a lot of different values. I've been there myself. I've been one of those C-suites traveling around the world and trying to chase myself to find myself somewhere and waking up in different hotels and different cities at the same time as I've been raising a family back home. So yes, being aware of the different states and the different worlds where we want to be. I actually had a conversation today with a client and she said, Hanna, you know what? I do want to be able to say that I love to be at work. I love to work, but then we should also say that we want to be with our families and kids, right? And it's true. And when I say that, it's okay for you to say both, and we can find both. And that is really the value as well, to find the balance. And I'm not talking about work-life balance. I'm talking about balance within ourselves. And at the same time as you have this inner balance and feel comfortable with yourself, that also makes you be a higher achiever, because I do believe in high achievement.
Is that where the brain shift framework comes in? Because when I think of brain shift, and please break it down for me and my audience, but when I bought it and the platform in which I work with leaders, they carry a lot of inner pressures, right? And when they're dealing with those inner pressures, the overthinking, the overfunctioning, the doubtful thoughts, the imposter syndrome, all of those different types of internal pressures that we create in our mind, they just stagnant. And in those moments of being stagnant, it's hard to have a strategy, vision of self, strategic capacity becomes very limited in key moments while dealing with these inner pressures.
Mhm.
So I would assume that your work with brain shift helps people shift their paradigm. Can you tell us a little bit more about what brain shift is?
And I think that you are really spot on. What I see and what I work with are those high achievers that really wants to take themselves and their teams and their organizations to the next level. And just as you say, too often we are overthinking and we don't really stop and reflect. And when we don't do that, we will just go in old pathways. And the pathways that I'm talking about, the way that we take decisions, it's also the way that we are thinking. So when I'm talking about brain shift, that is, first of all, understand yourself. Brain shift is a framework, but I also have a methodology that is called the clarity chain. And within the clarity chain, we always start with spot. Start to recognize your triggers. Start to recognize when is your body tense. In which situations are you relaxed? In which situations are you fading away? In which situations are you actually really eager to go forward? You might get angry. Just to start to recognize it, that is the first part. And I do believe that you've seen it just as I have, that too many of us never even think about it. We wake up in the morning and we are still tense in our bodies, and we don't realize that we have been laying there in our beds with a high pressure and not really being relaxed. And jumping into, and our breath is very shallow and our heartbeat is very high. So
That's the pattern, particularly when you're a high achiever, high performer. That's what you're taught, right? You gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta get this result, you gotta meet this demand, go to the point where the inner critic is telling you you can't afford to slow down, because if you slow down, you will be bypassed. And we don't want to be bypassed. So we gotta press through this. You slow down, but you're weak. It just creates this narrative. We just keep going, we keep going. And in the process of going, we lose sight of strategy and how we really want to see ourselves moving forward.
I totally agree with you. But the beauty, though, is that you will be even high if you learn to slow down. If you learn to slow down and recognize those patterns and really take active decisions, not based on old patterns, but based on what is really needed. So that is going back to the methodology, the clarity chain. Then the second part is decode. Okay, so where does those signals come from? Is it really something that belongs to this existing, or is it something that belongs to the past? We all know by now that our brain is the easiest way to stay alive. So we are constantly chasing or scanning our environment for threats. But if we start to recognize those signals, because the body will tell us when we are in a threat state or threat mode. And if we can start to recognize that and then decode it and say that, okay, is this something that is really, do I really need to be threatened here? Is it something that is really threatening? Usually it's not.
Most leaders in these roles, they don't know what they don't know. They don't even realize they're in a pattern, let alone a signal. How do you help them realize the signal when they're unaware of signals? How do you help create that level of consciousness for people that you work with?
First of all, my first part is always to create a safe environment for the leaders or the leadership team in front of me, in between the two of us. And that is to show myself vulnerable and tell them a little bit about myself. And after that, also coming to some teaching. Teaching about the brain, some teaching about our nervous system, some teaching about what is it that makes us chase for the things that we are here, just to get away from the shame and guilt. Because that is also, if we are going a little bit more in depth in that, that is usually what is keeping us awake during the night. That is shame and guilt. And just to realize that the way that you are running, the way that you are chasing, the way that you are treating yourself and treating the other ones around you, that is exactly what you're supposed to do based on your inherited patterns to keep you alive. And then place questions. Just ask themselves. Many people of us, I don't have my watch on me now, but many of us, we have something on us that actually can measure our pulse. That is also, just look at your watch. How is your pulse right now? And then start to talk about that. Let's say that they have a pulse of 70, 75. We shouldn't have that high pulse in a calm situation. And then we can start to talk about, okay, what happened before the meeting and so on. And one thing that I always do as well, that is something that to start with, and that is a breathing exercise to support them to come down.
And tell my audience the power of breathing exercises and what it does.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful. But coming back to your question, how do I start to work and how do I start to make the leader who are in such a high state and really chasing themselves, as I said, I was chasing myself all around the world. Sometimes it takes a few coaching sessions. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes. But I will not stop until I have them there present. And that makes me I have to be present. I have to be totally present in the moment. Because that is also one of the things. Now we are coming into a lot of teaching here, but that is one of the other things, that the mirroring that we are doing. If I'm calm, the person in front of me will calm down.
Yeah, that's why I love the swag framework of what I created, because it's really simple, right? Because when people think about swag, they think swagger, popping your collar, or even swag merchandise. It's really that simple, right? But I take a different approach to it with self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit, right? Just as you were saying, being aware of the triggers. The swag framework is when your swag is off, typically have a feeling, and that feeling can be overwhelm, discouragement, guilt, embarrassment, just whatever that draining feeling is in that moment, your swag is off. Because guess what? Self-awareness is probably distracted. There's no sight of purpose in that moment. Your actions are stagnant, right? And then you feel like you have to grind harder. And the grind is the distraction, because that inner critic is telling you can't slow down and pause. You have to go faster. And that ultimately is what creates the draining energy leaks that's just constantly dripping, that formulates into burnout. And yet it's that feeling of drain, overwhelm, that's your swag is off. It all aligns, whether it's the brain shift, methodological approach, or whether it's a swag approach. It's a different path, it's the same message.
Sure. And I think it's a message that we need to support each other to send out to those high achievers and to those leaders, because at the end of the day, when you ask them, what is it that you really dream of? What is it that you really want to be memorized for?
That's a great question. That's an amazing question, because often, more than not, we're distracted in the daily habits of life from thinking about that and looking at that. And that goes back to the original question around strategic capacity, side of that, because we're distracted.
We are. And going back to that and discussing that specific question, strategic, you phrased it so well, strategic capacity, right? Yeah. To be able to have strategic capacity, you need to be able to be present under pressure. And to be able to be present under pressure, you need to understand yourself. You need to be able to regulate yourself. Because we will just go back to this, I love the work by Daniel Kahneman and the book that he wrote, Thinking Fast and Slow. It's a given. When you are thinking fast, you are thinking on your old pattern. That will not create any magic.
Right.
So if you slow down, you will win in the end. You might think it takes longer time, but you will save so much time at the end. And you will do wonders. Yeah.
I agree. And it goes back to, I center my coaching around sports analogies, right? When things typically hit the fan on the court, on the field, momentum is shifting, guess what the other team typically does? They call a timeout. Let's reset. Let's talk this through really quick. Let's come up with another play. Yet, in leadership, in these high pressure environments, we're pressing forward without calling the timeouts.
Yeah, we are. And I really do believe that goes back to this human biology being, we are so afraid of being excluded. Because if we are excluded, we are out of the game, right? And that means that we will be killed. If we go back to the basic human biology. So we do believe that being there, chasing as hard as we can and pushing forward and being seen, that is the same thing as being safe. But it's not. We don't need to treat ourselves that way any longer. We used to do it, yes. But we don't. Yeah, but we don't need it. I'm talking about 40, 50,000 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. We had to be there. We had to be able to run in the forest. We needed to be able to run away from whatever wanted to kill us. We needed to go out there and really try to find as much food as possible because that kept us alive. We needed to be part of the tribe, to be safe together with the tribe. So if I was slow and I could not run as fast as my tribe could, then I was left there. They wouldn't stop and pick me up. They would leave me. If I was distracted and while I was picking food, I was not fast. I did not contribute as much as the other ones to the table, to the food. I was no use for them. But it's not, we don't live in that environment anymore. That was 40,000 years ago. We have a different kind of environment today, but our brain doesn't know that. That is why we are chasing. And that's why we are also always looking up to the leader, because we want to be as close to the leader as possible. We want to praise the leader. We want to have the recognition from the leaders, because then we will be safer. We believe that we will be safer. And of course, also, we want to do the same thing as our teammates are doing, because then I'm part of the tribe. I'm part of the group. If I'm doing something, if I'm saying that I don't believe in that, I want to do something different, then I'm an outsider. And it's easy for the group or for the tribe then to exclude me. So we need to understand all those things. We need to understand the biological reasoning behind why we are doing as we are doing. And then we can break it down and say that, is that really useful today? Is that useful in our environment? No, it's not. And just going back a little bit to this with chasing and running and trying to be there on the edge all the time, we know what that does to our nervous system. We know what that does to our body. We kill ourselves. Literally, we kill ourselves.
Yeah.
And when it comes to cognitive ability, going back then to this with strategic capacity, what does it really mean? It means that we need to be able to use our brain and cognition as much as possible, right? And if you have your full possibility, or that you can use your cognition in full, and I can use mine in full, and all the other teammates can do that as well, and we really double up or triple up or use everyone's capacity fully, then we are strong.
Yeah.
But when we are in a stress mode or survival mode, as we are when we are chasing and running, we are in a constant survival mode and stress, then our brain is sending out a lot of cortisol to our prefrontal cortex. Now it's a teaching here again.
You're good.
And when we are sending out that cortisol to the prefrontal cortex, that is the purpose with that is that we should narrow our focus, grab whatever we have in front of us and run. That is the purpose with that mechanism. Meaning that when we have that level of cortisol in the survival mode, we will narrow down our focus.
Yeah.
Then take that connected to the strategic capacity. When we are setting strategies, we want to be as open, as wide open as possible in our cognition and be able to use everything that we have in here. So yes, take that. It's a given, right? It's really when you really understand what happens with you, and you will not be able to be the best version of yourself when you are treating yourself as a leopard.
How do I simplify all of this wonderful information that you just shared? And I will put it like this. In real time, chaos, pressure moments, external and internal, learn to pause and ask yourself a powerful question. And maybe that powerful question could be as simple as, why am I feeling the way that I feel right now? And if you can get to the root of that, it helps to start to create some sort of strategic capacity for you. It starts to create alignment for you. But we feel the urgency, the distractions, that we don't have time to do that. We can't do that. So we continue to press forward. So everything that you shared, that's what came out for me listening.
Mhm.
Pause and ask yourself about the state that you're in that current moment. And that's the self-awareness. That's the initial piece that I think we all need. We all need it. We're naturally distracted by the external environments of everything that's happening around us. It's a
Yeah.
distraction, and it always will be a distraction.
It is, and more today than ever. And the future, we don't know about the future, but we can predict the future, and that is that it will run even faster, meaning that we need to be able to slow down. We need to be able to live in this uncertainty. And just as you said, I think it was beautifully put together in a simple way.
Yeah. As we wrap up,
Yeah.
what final thoughts do you have?
One thing that one simple thing that everyone can do, no matter if you're a leader, achiever, high achiever, whoever you are, is to give yourself 2 minutes every evening, 2 minutes, and place 3 questions. What am I really proud of that happened today? What am I really happy about? And what am I really thankful about? So proud, happy, and thankful.
I love that. Thank you. How can you be found?
I can be found either through LinkedIn, where you can search my name. And I promise I will reply every single DM myself. So it's just reach out there. Or you can find me on my homepage as well, which also has the same name as I have, Hanna Curman. And that is .se, as I am based in Sweden.
Thank you, Hanna. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation today.
So did I. Thank you, Coach Mo.
That's another rep in the inner arena. You didn't just listen, you leveled up your swag, self-awareness, why power, aligned action, and grit. If this hit home, share it. Subscribe to the Let's Think About It podcast and lock in with me on YouTube at Swag Coaching. Until next time, stay aware, lead with your why, act in alignment, and keep your grit strong.
In the paint, getting back down it. We going big, going big. We going big, going big.